right, I guess we have quorum, so we'll kick off. Want to thank everybody for taking the time to join this afternoon or this morning for Automation Fair 2021 in the virtual realm. My name is Sean Huber. I'm the automation manager, or one of the automation managers here at Rumsey Electric. And ideally, today we're just going to go through a handful of slides of some of the things that our specialists pulled together that are the ideal products and topics and sessions that they thought valuable 2 days in. And with that, Julia, I'll let you introduce yourself and we'll kick this thing off.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. For everybody on the phone, I'm Julia Santagata, the other automation manager here at Rumsey. I spent a bunch of time myself here in Automation Fair, 1 day in. So look forward to sharing with everybody some of the things that we've seen.
All right. With that, we'll kick off here. Just as a general agenda, I wanted to talk a couple of slides here just as an overview of the event to hopefully make things a little bit easier for you to navigate and what to look for. And then we'll go through some sessions that we thought were good from both Rockwell as well as Encompass Partners, and then finalize with some products that you may want to check out, may make your life and jobs a little bit easier and or better in what you do every day. So with that, first and foremost, we are 2 days in or a day and a half into Automation Fair, and we will follow up with some links here with a copy of these slides. But the links that are on here can take you directly to the new products and solutions showcase and some of the items that are being shown there, as well as exhibiting companies. And I know when we're not in virtual Automation Fair, going to some of the companies that support all of the automation that we're so intimate with, usually can see some pretty neat and beneficial items there. Lab sessions, the labs are now closed, so hopefully everybody's having a good time with the labs that they're in. But then there is the sessions guide that allows you to go down and kind of figure out exactly which sessions, which we'll talk about here in a minute, that you may want to go see. The last piece of this, and it's probably one of the slides coming up here first, is that Process Solutions Users Group, because of the virtual nature, is actually all week, and those sessions are available to everybody free of charge, which historically has not been the case.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that first link, Sean, the product and solutions showcase, there's a couple of different ways to get to products. We'll note one of the ways here, but that link will actually bring you to some direct product information, straightforward product information as well. So that's a good one to hit beyond just browsing the Automation Fair experience.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I found in the last day is there's so much information there, much like a real show, because it is a real show, but you can get lost pretty quickly and maybe become a little bit disheartened. So hopefully these next couple slides will show you some stuff that's pretty cool and worthwhile to check out. First and foremost was the presentation here, which is now recorded and on demand, which is perspectives for day one. It's a neat overall presentation on just the general direction of Rockwell and all the investments and benefits that they're making, to help make the, ultimately integration and information a much easier and better place. What I will say is if the entire presentation is about 1 hour and 20 minutes, it is available on demand, so you can hopefully schedule that in your time. But with that, if you don't have 80 minutes to ultimately dedicate to watching it, if you just have 12 minutes, look specifically in that 48 to 60 minute time frame, and you'll get a little bit more of a sneak peek associated to the product and technology showcase. So kind of gives you a little bit more of the of the palatable equipment that Rockwell's designing and putting out. So one of the things I think is worth watching, obviously Perspectives Day 2 is today. I have not watched that yet, so more to come on that.
And for the Rumsey folks on the phone, I think those 12 minutes will give you a good feel for the direction you want to head as well. If you can find those, well, be worthwhile.
Absolutely. So yeah, so then if we take a jump here into a little bit of the meat and potatoes, we had talked about PSUG being available all week, but there are an awful lot of process solutions users groups, tracks and labs that are part of this, or track sessions that are part of this. So we went out and got some of the specialists' general feedback of ones that they've sat on or have seen in some aspects of it. And we wanted to list them out here just as some of the ideal ones maybe to focus on. So, the first one there is just an overview of the Plant PX 5.0 system. Probably, a general benefit, get yourself grounded, gives you a little bit of an idea of what the system is and how all the pieces and parts work together as a complete system. And then you kind of could go down through these and you'll see some of the comments from the specialist as far as, the introduction to the Plant PX library, which is what's used within the Plant PX 5.0 system, is probably, really designed around systems integrators in the engineering community that ultimately is going to configure a process system. From there, you can go down to, operator awareness and HMI design and ISA standards. Which is all of the design around the Plant PX, object library for operator interfaces. They're all designed around the ISA standards. That one will specifically go into that if you have interest around that. And then you go down through the process optimization, which is something specific to operations managers or anybody that ultimately gets paid on putting product out the door at a plant. It covers, the built-in diagnostics capabilities of Plant PX, and kind of keeps moving it along there. With the last one being something that's specifically oriented towards batch systems. So if you're in Plant PAX and you're in a process system and you're dealing with batch, it covers the new version 14 that Rockwell has released, as well as gives some coverage of things outside of FactoryTalk Batch, which is the suite sequence manager and the phase manager and how it all works together within the controller. So I know that's kind of a busy slide. It's probably our busiest slide, but the Plant PX is a big launch with it just being released with Plant PX 5.0 here in the last month and a half. And there's a big push on making sure that information gets out to the masses. Couple of things then associated to services. If you're looking how to support your plant, you're a plant manager, plant owner. There's a few of them here, the PTO3 and the PTO1, specifically around remote support options, general feedback, and I probably can't say it much better than what our specialist did here, but well put together presentation. Ultimately, the presenters went over all the risks that you might run into in a plant, and then what are solutions that try and keep your plant up and running and products still going out the door. Ultimately, that was one that came across with, the presenters did a very good job and would be something that would be worth your investment of time. Beyond that is just the one down below is just workforce development. So it has a whole lot to do with all of the training options. We've had a lot of Rockwell classes here at Rumsey over the years. Obviously, this year has really put a damper on that, but employees still need to understand how to use the product and keep things moving and programming. So this will go through all the different training portfolio, as well as a lot of the e-learning and online learning classes that are now available that weren't literally a year and a half ago. And along with that first one that I had shown there, you'll see within Automation Fair itself a new product, so to speak, or a new solution for customers, which is listed as the Integrated Service Agreement, or you'll hear from Rockwell ISA for short. And it is the service agreement options, and we'll cover and talk about them from essential all the way up to premier, which is a way for Rockwell to support your plant both remotely and with on-site service engineers, repairs, spares, all things that you would need to keep your plant up and running can be defined specifically, on what you need. So keep an eye out for some of that on the plant floor. And if you have any questions, definitely let us know, and we'll get you in touch with the right person to talk about your specific needs and your specific plant. Continuing down through here, as far as IC sensors and safety, there were a couple of product and technology cases that were really good. One was around safe position and speed monitoring, real world application. Ultimately the feedback here from the specialist standpoint is, basically it's a good on-demand session, not for someone looking for a quick and easy solution to save speed, but it did get a little bit weedy. Ultimately is a very knowledgeable speaker and worth the investment and time. The last couple here are just short circuit current ratings. Ultimately goes through, some of the things that you need to both keep employees safe, as well as if you're an OEM and you need to build plant or, build panels to make sure that you have the right items in there. And then the last one here is just applying advanced safety products to solve difficult applications, or sensing products, sorry. And that will go over, some of the different new sensors, and specifically the 3D sensor and the SwiftD. So again, just a handful of things that so far across Automation Fair 2020 that we thought was, pretty good. And the last one here that was, I guess, a little bit, interesting from the drives and MCC realm is this PT13, which was, how do you get smart information out of my drives? And it has a lot less to do with drives as it did specifically the FactoryTalk analytics. But it is something that if you don't have a lot of people in your plant trying to keep drives up and running, using FactoryTalk analytics can help provide you heads up information before your drives fail or go down, or if there's any issues around them, and definitely something that's being pointed out and worth taking a look at. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Julia. Sorry.
Awesome. So then there were a couple of things that our networking and datacom, some of our automation team highlighted as potentials that folks may want to check out. The first got rave reviews for anybody that is using motion, integrated motion within their control system, and is trying to understand the migration as we go from fiber connections and everything else into Ethernet. What are the impacts of that? So this PT29, applying Ethernet IP for high performance machine level architectures. This is right from our specialist's mouth, one of the most interesting sessions they've attended so far. And it's focused primarily at motion applications and the ramifications of using SIP motion with Ethernet. There's another one here that could be on the following slide, but it's around IT/OT integration. So your plant floor with IT integration, and that's how you extend your traditional IT security down onto the plant floor. So this focuses on security by segmentation. If you are involved with your IT folks or IT folks trying to understand the plant floor, this would be a good one to reference them to from the security starting point. And then if you're fairly new in the world of networking and Ethernet and you're trying to get your foundation down, there's two here, PT25 and PT26. These are both fundamentals and kind of foundation building tech sessions that would be good for you to sit down kind of with a pen and paper and dedicate an hour or two to really get your baseline knowledge together regarding, just general Ethernet terminology, methodology, general design practices. And then I think on the next slide, I put one around cybersecurity that our team thought was good. And this is a quick look at cybersecurity followed by what to do about it. So this covers not just, firewalls, if you will. People think network security, they think firewalls, but this really talks all the way down into your control system about using things like FactoryTalk Policy Manager. So this was a well-paced session. It provided just enough detail that you knew how to go take action with what you're hearing, and might be a good one for you guys to attend or at least grab the presentation, PT07.
All right, and then one of the funnier comments that we got back had more to do with with an Encompass partner session that was specifically around VFD cable. Is it essential or is it overkill? Obviously, from our perspective, we've heard that a bunch of different ways and a bunch of different times. But the specific comment back here, pretty much in quotes, was I wish all of our VFD customers would attend this presentation, tie this in with use of the EMC plate blog, and I see many problems go away. So ultimately, I've seen Southwire do some presentation on their VFD cables in the past, and is definitely, if you're in the power realm and using a lot of switching, anything that makes noise in the electrical world, it's definitely worth your investment and time to take a look at that one.
And if I could toss one more out there, Sean, that I kind of missed in my slides, there was a good one called PT41. This is about single pair Ethernet, which might be confusing to some folks, but it's a hot topic in the industry. It's not in use quite yet on the plant floor very much, but there was a really great presentation hosted by three folks, somebody from Panduit, somebody from Cisco, and somebody from Fluke, that covered the use of single pair Ethernet to replace or supplement your traditional field bus networks. So HART, Foundation Field Bus, Profibus PA, Modbus RTU, something else that might be really interesting to look at from a tech session perspective. PT41, single pair Ethernet.
Okay, sounds good. We'll make sure to add that before we send out the presentation, just so that it's there for everybody that misses it. So.
Thanks.
All right. And I don't know, did you have some thoughts for the slide that's up there?
I did, yeah. So the next section that we're going to cover is just some quick hits relative to products that are being shown at Automation Fair. And the link that Sean provided at the beginning will get you to kind of a listing of all products. But if you want to see some of the live interaction stuff that we're going to be showing here, when you are logged into your session, I had a little trouble finding it myself. So I just thought I'd provide a little bit of guidance here. At the top, go to Expo Showcase, Rockwell Experience, and then Product and Technology Showcase. And then once you're in there, it got a little cut off at the bottom of this slide here, but you land on one Product and Technology Showcase. And at first I thought that was the end of it. I was like, where's everything else? I only see one thing. But then you want to go to that little highlighted yellow circle there called Map, and you can start choosing from the different showcases that you want to visit. Took me a few minutes to find that. Thought I'd just let everybody know how to get there quicker than I did.
And I just wanted to make sure, is this the way you're supposed to run Ethernet cable up across the ceiling like this, and a little string? Just out of
No comment.
I'll keep going from that one. So yeah, so going, continuing down the Product and Technology Showcase, this is, the spots where you go in and you actually get to see the products, and every business unit did things just a little bit different. However, the ones that we're pointing out here are things that we thought were definitely worth the investment and time. And one of them was around intelligent package power. If you go in there, there's a handful of very short videos that are really succinct and to the point. They show, around information around motor control centers, and specifically what we've deemed over time of the 4 S's of the 2100, which is scalable, safe, smart, and secure. So you can go in and actually see specific videos to the packaged power and information around them.
I would offer that is something I overlooked as well. The first time I went into one of these areas, I was looking at the little scrolling up and down and clicking on those, but I wasn't realizing that there was live content right underneath it that you could click and view. So that's another good, kind of where that red circle is, that's where the video is that you're referring to. I overlooked that the first time, but so everybody knows that's the supplemental content there. Look for something clickable underneath.
Yeah, so that's, what you're referencing. Here's your slide bar going up and down. If you click on it and see a video, you click on the video and can expand it from there. Continuing down that same path, and you'll see there's a consistent theme of that look. Goes over to the drives aspect of this, and one of them is a functional safety video that is put on. and ultimately it's a 7-minute video, and it specifically goes through the 755 with network safety and some of the benefits around network safety, specifically using the S4 drive option card. But it compares that from a timing standpoint and a safety standpoint to lockout, tag out, and then ultimately the aspects of the GuardLogix processor and everything being over Ethernet itself. Does shed some light on, safe torque off and how that can be used in the field, as well as safe limited speed. And one of the comments that I'll just make with this is, in the past, GuardLogix processors were definitely a jump in investment dollars to get to the GuardLogix. However, now with the compact GuardLogix and some of the other options that are out there, it's almost should become a de facto standard product that you put into your plant. Whether you use the safety, you don't. It's literally like roughly speaking, on some of the smaller controllers, a $300 adder. So you always have it there for the future, and have that as a benefit. But that's specific around the functional safety. But there also is another video that's less than 3 minutes, where they'll go through the automatic device configuration, which is another thing that is very much overlooked as far as people saving parameters to drives, but they don't ever save them or necessarily save them into the Studio 5000 program itself, which upon drive replacement would really be a benefit to the service techs and the people that are out on the field trying to get a plant up and running when they replace a drive out that does go bad. So again, just a couple of short videos that can really hit those points home better than I could here. And again, this is a little bit around that automatic device replace. And then the last one, and Julia, feel free to jump in on this one also. Probably one of the biggest product technology showcases, that if you're in the DCS world, is the release in October, I believe it was, of PlantPX 5.0. So you'll see a bunch of things that come along with this. One of them is redundancy capabilities on the 5580 controller, because you're really not in process unless you have that at this level. We always had it with our L7 processors, but now they're out there with the L8s, as well as a specific process controller, and you can go check that out, where a lot of the configuration and the library is actually literally loaded into the processor, so you don't have to do that outside of the system itself. So if you're in the DCS realm, this would be a place that you would definitely want to spend some time. A quick hit here, just from a pure information standpoint, the Centerline motor control centers now have an option of Modbus TCP. Just as a reference to that, how we're able to offer that, in places that do use Modbus TCP, is with the one of the Encompass partners of Rockwell, which is the HMS Anybus module here. One of the benefits is if you do use E300s as a plant standard, or as a way to protect your motor loads on starters, there is now also an E300 Modbus TCP communication module that can snap right on the front of it in place of the Ethernet, and allow the Ethernet IP version, and allow you to get to the different protocols. So just wanted to make sure.
Pretty requested over the years, so that's great to see.
Correct. I'd love to say that everything was Ethernet IP in this world, but unfortunately, it's not. Or maybe fortunately, it's not. Depends on your perspective of that one. But this at least allows the capabilities of both our motor control center as well as the E300 on its own to sit as a resident on that network.
So this is a really neat one, and if you hit that link from the first slide that Sean had showed, and you hit the 1492, you'll see a video that actually puts this all together and makes it so clean and understanding of how it works. But launched just 2 months ago, and now with a lot of new information, is the Slick to Compactlogix IO Migration Kit. So essentially in the same footprint as your SLIC and maintaining the same wiring that you had without having to tear apart and rewire all of your IO, you can mount a new structure where the SLIC structure was and migrate everything using this wiring system pretty quick and easy to Compactlogix IO. So there's some really good information there about how to do this. I know there are hundreds and hundreds of installs of SLIC products in the greater Philadelphia area. So there's probably a lot of you that would benefit from understanding this option a little bit as you move, as you look to migrate a little bit here in the coming year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody to be familiar with the PLC 5 version of this, it allowed the upgrade without a lot of risk. So, you could upgrade something that was out there for many years that people kind of sort of knew what was going on, but didn't. And it allows you to go back if you had to on a weekend crossover or something. So that's where some of the wiring systems are a huge benefit. And Julia, I don't know if you'd want to talk to this one because there's a lot of things that I think could be talked about here.
There's a bunch going on this slide here, but if you look to the far right or to the far left, you'll see some pictures of the PanelView 5000. So this is a product that has been out for a few years, but within the last year, the feature set with the software, the View Designer software that is out, has really come into its own, and it is by far today's technology platform for HMIs, for standalone HMIs. So we've had the PanelView Plus 6, the PanelView Plus 7, and now we have the PanelView 5000 family with integrated programming. So it uses the same Studio 5000 package as your Logix. You don't need to purchase another programming software, and uses some really neat integrated solutions in order to tie the PanelView to the controller. We recently did a webinar on this, actually. If you hit the Rumsey YouTube channel, you could see a getting started webinar on this, but there's some highlights of this new family because it really has come into its own this year. Great to check out if you're in some of the showcase areas.
Yeah, and I specifically was looking to this one because as things had enhanced with the versions of software, just the fact that there's alarm history and there's a bunch more things that are coming out with it, and it all falls under Studio 5000 or Studio Designer. It's a much more appropriate product to spend a lot more time in looking at. So.
And then I made another little note here as you're going through. This is something that launched a couple of months ago as well, but it's one of our best hidden quiet secrets, and that is improving your software and firmware management with the latest releases V33 of Studio 5000. There is a new version of FactoryTalk Updater and Control Flash Plus. These are free applications that are downloaded as part of that overall download. But there are huge new capabilities for managing your firmware and your software rev levels contained within that free software. So the links here, if you migrate to design and manage your automation system and then ease software and firmware management, there's some links there that will give you more information on how to get that and what it can do for you. Definitely worth spending a few minutes looking at.
Yeah, I definitely want to go check out the new control flash. I think, what is it, up to 4? Because there was a lot of enhancements over the last couple of years in control flash.
Yep. And then here are a few new products that you folks may not be familiar with. They have just started rolling out over the last couple of months, so they are being showcased. But that's the Verseview 6300 family. It's a whole new line of industrial PCs, and it is the fullest line that we've ever seen come from Rockwell in terms of both capability and performance levels and footprint. So there are what would be considered your bookshelf style, the tiny little ones that are in the upper left, to your wall mount, which are the ones down at the bottom right, integrated displays, just monitors, you name it, it is part of this family. So it started rolling out a couple months ago. If you want a feel for what the whole family is going to encompass, this would be a good one to take a look at, because this will be likely our leading industrial PC family as we move into 2021.
Absolutely. If you haven't looked at our industrial PCs lately, please do it now.
And then a couple of things, again, from the networking and datacom perspective. For any of you that have hung with me the last couple of years with Automation Fair previews, You will know that I've mentioned the Stratix 5800 quite a few times. It's been on the horizon for a little bit. New launch date is March 2021, so that is showcased here a little bit. It is a modular all-gig solution. So more information to come on that as we get a little closer to launch date there. And then Rockwell is launching their next generation of industrial data centers. So there's some information here. As we migrate and we sophisticate plant floor software, we need to sophisticate the servers and the systems that they're on. And so that's where the industrial data center comes in with a lot of options for supportability. So us folks on the plant floor don't need to be networking or IT experts in order to maintain these servers and keep everything up and running. So next generation, something interesting to look at for sure. A few more in the server realm while we talk about it. So FTServer from one of our Encompass partners has been around a while, always something really great to look at. This is a fault tolerant server option. So depending on the critical nature of applications for the plant floor for you, this may be something to look at. And then the ZTC Edge is an edge computing solution. So in-panel servers, also with high reliability and tolerance. So something really unique footprint-wise from the server perspective. Now that's not the same as the industrial PCs I just showed a couple slides ago. We're talking server capabilities now. But there's a great tech session, one of the specialists also said. So if you look up Stratus tech sessions, or you go to the Encompass product showcase and you make your way into the Stratix booth, they are doing, there's a tech session where they're doing a live demonstration of these edge solutions and losing one of the servers and the continuous switch over and the fault tolerance. So if you're wondering about how you get very reliable servers for your plant floor automation, visit some of these tech sessions. That would be a great use of your time.
And continuing down the path of the Encompass partner products, one that I had hopped in just because of obviously on the drive and power side is Marathon, and they've had the motors there on the left for a while, and we are big fans of them in the inverter realm. Specifically, almost specifically the Black Max we use in a lot of vector type of applications. But I also did one too, and it was a little bit newer. They've had the SiMax versions of IPM motors out for a while. However, they continue to enhance them. And one of the benefits of the SiMax is that they've now come out with some motors that are very low pole count, or very high pole count, I guess, so very low RPM. So like in a case like this, where you're just trying to run a fan instead of having belts and sheaves and other mechanics, if you have a 600 RPM base speed motor, it allows you to have a whole lot more torque and get rid of a lot of mechanical components at the smaller horsepowers and smaller frames. The other benefit of the SiMax is that you get IE5 efficiency, which is very high rating of efficiency on motors, and ultimately just trying to keep that kind of pushing the edge of keeping motors turning, as well as saving energy and money at the same time. Another one then to kind of go with motors a little bit is, and this product's been out for a few years, but is Greysense, and their what they're showing here is their control gate and their ability to do remote IO devices or wireless smart IO devices for bringing back plant information, and it can be vibration and current and temperature. So it's a very unique and interesting product that you can sort of mesh network through your plant to bring back a lot of information that possibly could even be critical to the manufacturer of your product, depending if you had to do things a little bit different based on temperature or humidity itself. So something to check out. It's a neat product. I know as Rumsey we do have a demo of this version. So if there's anything that you would need to see, just reach out to us on that also. Another one then to kind of go with it, and this isn't a slide specifically from Automation Fair, but I saw the Kinetics product line sort of across a bunch of different areas within the plant or within Automation Fair itself. But the main ones here that I want to point out, and you'll see, is the Kinetics 5300 is now launched. So it is the kind of a standalone single-ish axis SIP motion drive. And then from there you go into the multi-axis, which is the 5500, and the multi-axis, and a little bit more capable dual axis Kinetics 5700. So look for all of these within Automation Fair themselves to get a little bit more information, as well as the Kinetics 5100, which was launched not too long ago, which is a simple standalone drive. So if you're ever doing things like step and direction, or just telling it a single move to go, you'll also see this within Automation Fair. But the entire Kinetics line sort of been revamped from small to large, and is out now and available to be looked at and put into applications. I don't know if you want to talk to the Spectrum card there, Julia.
Yeah, so maybe a year or two ago, Spectrum launched the Universal Gateway, and they have recently relaunched or launched it with a 2.0 version. So there are a couple of different options now. Originally, there was just one part number, one form factor, and there's a couple of different options now. But for somebody that has multiple protocols that they may need to migrate or do some slow modernization with, this is a great solution if you haven't looked at it already. Find your way into the Spectrum Controls booth and ask some questions about it. It's one gateway that you can stock and use, and always be familiar with how it programs no matter which protocol that you need to convert and you need to get onto Ethernet for your various other or older devices, if you will.
And I think this was the one that if you're a systems integrator, it might not be bad to have one of these in your pocket at any given time, because you never know when you're out on a design or helping somebody out with something and you need to figure out one of these protocols to go from one thing to another. So never bad to have on hand.
Excellent, very valid point.
Another one, just to kind of point out, we as Rumsey and as Rockwell haven't historically ran into a lot of Aussie protocol. However, it is coming. There's becoming a lot more of it because of the simplicity of how it's wired, and the amount of devices and capabilities that are out there, including now safety. But Aussie 5.0 is out, and there is an Encompass partner, which is Beal and Wadelman, that has a master, and they also have Aussie cards that can literally go right into some of our controller racks. So whether it's a SLIC or I guess really a Control-Logix or Compactlogix, you can get out and look at all of the Aussie protocols that are out there. Again, this is a product that's on the floor, so to speak, and be worth touching base, especially if you've heard of Aussie or use Aussie and want to look at a Rockwell Encompass partner product that can help you to integrate that very easily within the Rockwell portfolio. And then I think the last slide that we have up here, and it goes back to the Rockwell IC safety and sensors. Ultimately, there's a ton of these products that are part of Automation Fair. And normally, if you were in person, you would actually, go see big boards of anything from terminal blocks to all of these individual pieces. Here's a handful of them that are kind of the new and updated, just things to look at. But most of what we talked about through this presentation are the higher tech, the higher power, but nothing really works correctly unless you have all of the safety interlocks and capabilities with like the interlocking switches to the sensors, to the contactors themselves. And all of these are continuing to be updated over time. So there's a bunch of these on the virtual floor. I just put up a handful of the newer ones for you to kind of take a look at and see. But continue to go through the floor and take a look. And if you have questions on any of this stuff, by all means, reach out to Rumsey or one of the specialists, and we can get you more information. So with that, I think that is our last slide, if I remember correctly. It sure is. I don't know. Is there anybody out there that has any questions or I guess just general info around what they've seen so far?
Well, anybody's thinking about that, I would offer that as you're browsing Automation Fair over these next couple of days or looking for any of the things that we just talked about, if you can't find it, feel free to pop back into this distributor chat room, both Rumsey and all of our customers alike. And some of the specialists will be here all week and we can get you pointed in the right direction and help you find information on some of these products if you are unable to locate them. This whole virtual experience is a little new, and so we're all learning how to navigate it. Some of these things are a little easier to find than others. So let us know if you need some help getting pointed in the right direction.
I mean, on the benefit of it, you don't have to walk like 10 miles this week. So, I don't
I'm
know
not
if
getting
that's
all
a
my
good or a
steps in
benefit.
now. I don't know. I usually do miles of steps for Automation Fair.
Exactly.
All right. Well, with that, thank you everybody for hopping on. Hope that helped with a little preview of what's going on in Automation Fair and some things to check out. We'll be here all week. Let us know if we can be of any help.